I want to be able to share perspectives from a variety of stakeholders. We want to hear from parents, we want to hear from teachers, we want to hear from school administrators and others, because we know that there are a lot of decisions that have to be made. And we want to make sure that the return to on-site instruction for our students is as safe as possible. And we also want to make sure that our staff and teachers feel safe. You started talking to me about all the work that you were doing in your school, Cloverdale Middle School, with your teachers around self-care. And so can you take just a minute and talk about the work that you've done over the past year, year and a half in thinking about really that support for teachers that's so important?
So we began our journey with high reliability schools and trying to become level 1 certified. And so we were connected with a couple of their associates, but one in particular, his name is Mike Rule. And Mike made us pretty much understand the importance of establishing a healing center, and not just for students, but also for adults. And with that being said, that we talked about and really start looking at how that could have a positive effect on student achievement. And so the work with adults became my passion. It's important for us as adults to lead the charge as far as wellness is concerned on our campus. And so anytime we have opportunities where we can come together and have fun and smile and laugh, because all of that is healing for the heart and the soul and the mind, it's important. And so we've also put in a wellness room in our school. And we wanted to provide an opportunity for staff to go in and kind of decompress. But we also wanted to provide an example of what we were looking for in our classrooms. We wanted a decompression type area in the classroom, in each classroom. And so we want to make sure that we modeled that behavior in providing that for the staff. It's just important to make sure that all of the adults on the campus is as well as we can be. And we want to be sure that the campus is not a source of stress. And so with that being said, there are just things that we're trying to be very deliberate in and before the COVID crisis pretty much. But before that, we just want to be sure that we had opportunities for adults to engage and be a part of even the planning process, because anything that we can do to take away stress so that they can be their best selves for our students, that's what we were wanting to make sure that we had in place.
You mentioned about adults being involved in the planning process, and the planning that you were doing around this whole conversation of your of wellness and the healing center that you have. So you had the adults in your school involved in that. And I'm thinking now about the different planning that you're probably doing getting ready to go back to school next year, realizing that school's going to look very different. And, you know, that we may be dealing with both on-site and off-site instruction, depending on the adults and the students and the different circumstances. Have you been able to involve the adults, the teachers, the staff in your building so far in planning for the return? And so can you talk a little bit about that?
So we've tried to keep the lines of communication open with our faculty and staff. And we've kind of all been on call for each other this entire time. And so there's nothing for us to call and run an idea by a classified staff member, a certified staff member about some of the things that we've been finding. And they also have called in and said, hey, I think this is going to be something that we might be able to implement as we move back into or whatever the fall looks like. And so it's just important for us to be able to make sure that everyone feels like they're a part. We do have our leadership team that's still intact, and that leadership team is comprised of mostly classroom teachers. What we're trying to do is make sure that everyone feels a part, everyone feels like their voices are heard, and also making sure that those voices are positive. because at the end of the day, we do understand the importance of positivity. We understand the effects that it can have on the brain and the rest of the body.
I think that as we get closer for school to start, we know that the focus really is on Arkansas Ready for Learning. And we've been encouraging schools to create teams to help with Ready for Learning plans. And we've been encouraging parents and community members to get involved with schools. So if you were talking to a parent today and talking to them about what is school going to look like for their child, what would you be telling them? What do you think is the most important thing that parents need to understand about your school next year?
We want the parents to know, if nothing else, that we do have a plan, and we want them to understand that not only is our focus going to be on academics, but the mental health and well-being of their student as well as them. We are focused on even trying to make sure that we have many sessions for parents as far as having to deal with some of the things that are going on and how to best navigate through those things. And so we're ready to become that healing center that our community needs, and also that we need.
So I guess what do you need as a school administrator? What support do you need right now, whether it's support from a colleague or a community member, and also from the Department or the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education? What do you need from us?
Most important piece, or the way I would feel most supported, is to get the message out about the importance of wellness, especially when it comes to leaders. I think it's going to be detrimental that we start building capacity from our leaders all the way down to our students. And when I say build capacity, I mean just making people aware of what self-care looks like, and how it can have a positive effect on everyone around, but then also making sure that we provide time for it.
So when we talk about blended learning and the expectations this year that every school and every district have options for students, and that teachers are implementing blended learning, not just technology, but blended learning being that combination of technology driven plus face-to-face, and also very flexible learning time, learning environments, learning conditions. And so blended learning can be implemented whether you're on physically on the school campus or if you're in other locations as well. So part of the expectation for blended learning also comes with allowing flexibility that you've described. And so we're hopeful that these flexibilities will do exactly what you've described, give you that extra time to say, okay, yes, the academics are very, very important, but we also need students to be able to spend time with their teachers talking about these experiences and what it's meant to them. Time for teachers to sit down together and collaboratively plan lessons, plan experiences for students that will help them be able to understand what's going on in the world today and help them have a voice in helping to make it better. So that is a commitment from the division to you all, that we want to work with you to make that happen. And we know it's not something that you can completely define today, but it's going to be something that we can work through over the next year.